GTA Trilogy has appeared on the screens of our monitors for several months now. Some people are completely satisfied with what they got, and others are very disappointed. But not about this in today's material. As you probably remember, the old GTA 3, Vice City, or San Andreas are full of many tricks and glitches. There are, for example, various techniques of getting to the blocked part of the map, or methods that allow you to get rich quickly. In this episode, we will talk about such cases in each of the 3 installments of the famous trilogy and see if the tricks known to us from many years ago work in the Definitive Edition. Be sure to write your opinion after watching the video what you think about it. Let's get to work. We will start today's list with a great trick from GTA San Andreas. Certainly, many of you know the trick in this game that allows us to get to the Area 69 military base. The whole methodology is not too complicated. All we have to do
was follow the damn train, CJ!
All we have to do is get a freeway motorcycle and go inside the base. There, we approach a certain ventilation hatch in such a way that CJ, getting off the motorcycle, will go down to this hatch. And that's it. From now on, we can thoroughly explore the entire military base. As it turns out, in GTA San Andreas Definitive Edition, if we want to get to the base in the same way, it is simply possible. When testing this out, CJ made his way through the ventilation to the center of the base without any problems. So, if we manage to achieve this effect without any problems, then you will certainly do it as well. Moving on, we will go to the good old GTA 3. The first and probably the most famous trick in the whole game is the so-called taxi glitch, which allows us to perform taxi missions with any vehicle available. We think that, as a rule, it is worth briefly describing how to achieve such an effect in case someone has not heard about it yet. First, we find a taxi. It can be an ordinary one, it can be a cabbie, and even a Borgnine taxi. Although, we want to warn you that if you want to use a Borgnine one, you have to have 100 fares first. Then, the taxi we have chosen should be placed close to another vehicle with which we want to take passengers around the city. When we have all this ready, now we get into the taxi. Hold down the mission launch button and, without letting it go, get out of the vehicle. Next, while still holding this mission button, we get into another vehicle. And only when we enter the car, we can release the button, and voila! From now on, we can do the side mission in a cheetah sports car, a limousine, or even a dodo plane if you feel like it. Unfortunately, it didn't take long to test this trick in GTA 3 Definitive Edition, as it just doesn't work here. When he holds down the R key responsible for starting the task, the mission begins immediately. It is no longer possible to be smart here, and therefore the trick is impossible to achieve, at least in the way we know from the original. Another cool thing that is very famous in GTA San Andreas is making pedestrians immortal zombies. So far, we know 2 methods where such event will arise. One of them is to start a fight with a ped and make him follow us to pay and spray. This method, with the rest, is the most popular. After the repaint occurs and the garage door opens, the pedestrian that was inside during this process will become immortal to most of the killing abilities we know in this game. Interestingly, in the new GTA San Andreas, it also works. The whole process is exactly the same. After leaving Pay and Spray, not only does it want to take our heads off, but it is also extremely difficult to overcome. Still, the best way to fight him is to run away, or take him to the water. Next up, we move on to the Cone Crazy Challenge from GTA Vice City. This mission is ideal for making a huge amount of money due to some cheat that we can use in it. To earn as much money as possible, we need to complete this mission 23 times. When all goes well, Tommy's account could see an amount in excess of $1.5 billion, which is amazing, especially for the 80s. Due to quite a lot of different things that you need to remember when performing this task, especially in its final stages, we will only discuss the initial ones. So, the whole thing is to get to the last marker every time the clock reaches 0 in terms of the time we have left. From the 8th attempt, we have to reach the last marker, leaving a second more time to the end of the ride. Of course, to do all this, we must have an appropriate path planned, which at some point will cease to bring the expected results anyway. Then, what's more, we will have to gently move the traffic cones, of course in such a way as not to destroy them, because in this case, the task will end in failure. As it turns out in GTA Vice City Definitive Edition, we shouldn't have any problems with getting the same results. The cones are distributed in the same way, and the amount of money we get after breaking the record doubles. The only thing that worried us was that at the top of the garage at the beginning, there was no stallion that is doing this task. But, in fact, the same happened in the prototype, so it cannot be treated as some mega strange anomaly. Next, we'll see one of the most popular tricks that works in all parts of the trilogy. It is an extremely recognizable trick, but also simply funny and a bit odd. Namely, after sunset, when the moon appears on the sky, we can change its size with one easy trick. All we have to do is equip the hero of a given part of GTA with a sniper rifle and then shoot at the moon. We had great concerns about whether this thing would work in the final version as well, but as it turned out, in the end, we were worried unnecessarily. Both Claude in GTA 3, Tommy in GTA Vice City, and CJ in GTA San Andreas can still shoot the moon without any obstacles, causing changes in its size. If you haven't tested it yet, we strongly recommend you to finally do it. What has always been a joy in the old parts of GTA is finding ways to prematurely get to another, still blocked part of the city. In GTA Vice City, an extremely popular way to get to Starfish Island was the ambulance trick. Fortunately, the creators did not take the opportunity to remove this trick from the final version of Vice City because here we can simply do it. The whole thing looks very similar, and we would even say that it is deceptively similar to what we dealt with in the original version. And finally, we will return to GTA 3, where we will take a closer look at a trick used in police tasks. Vigilante missions, although in theory they are not very difficult missions, can cause some problems. Sometimes, there are situations when someone drives cars, such as an Infernus or a Stinger on the street, and we have to get to the other end of the island to catch the criminal, which, honestly, might be problematic. Then there is no option to catch up with such guy and also hit him within the allotted time limit. In such moments, a certain trick related to the game menu comes in very handy. Namely, when you follow this criminal, you can in fact force the criminal to stop and get out of the car. It is enough to be relatively close to his car and pause the game for a moment. The mission becomes twice as simple, especially when we do it in such place as Shoreside Vale. Unfortunately, despite many attempts made in GTA 3 Definitive Edition, we have never managed to achieve such effect. Each time, despite pausing of the game, the criminal didn't get out of his car, so we can confidently say that in the new GTA 3, we will not be able to make police missions easier this way. And that's all we had for you this time. As always, we are looking forward to seeing your comments about this. Perhaps you know other useful techniques that survived or not in Definitive Edition. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.